Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, I think it's incredibly easy to get excited about the future and get lost in it and lost in where we're going. But I think sometimes it's so easy to forget how we got here, the hard work that got us here, the changes we've seen along the way, and the challenges that we've had to overcome. So today's guest is David Ngo, and he's been with Commvault for 24 years, his whole career. And he's going to share his career trajectory, his origin story, and how he's seen the company and the world of technology change so much. And also, I want to learn more about how they've launched a SaaS venture, Metallic, which David is now the CTO of. So today, I want to learn more about all of those things, and also David's story, and how Metallic's conversations with customers are now expanding from IT operations and infrastructure to matters of security, all of which is forcing IT and security teams to converge on their strategies. It's a big talking point at the moment, so quite excited about this one. So enough scene setting from me. Buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to New Jersey, where David is waiting to share his story. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about how you got here and ultimately share your origin story with everyone listening?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks for everyone for listening in here. I'm David Ngo. I'm the CTO of Metallic at Commvault. I've been with Commvault for 24 years, which is actually my entire professional career. Born and raised in New Jersey, and immediately after university, I was contacted by Commvault, which was a tiny little company I'd never heard about at the time, and I decided to give it a shot for a couple of years. And then I figured I'd move on to different things. 24 years later, that plan clearly has not worked out as intended. But it's been a fantastic experience. And to go from having to explain what Commvault is and who we are to today and some of the recognition that we have in the industry, it's been a really exciting journey. I've been very honored to be a part of it.
And obviously, I'm here in the UK, you're in New Jersey, and we'll have people listening all over the world. So for people hearing about Commvault and Metallic for the first time, can you tell me a little bit more about the kind of problems that you solve for businesses?
Absolutely. Traditionally, we've been a leader in the enterprise data protection and management space. Backup recovery, disaster recovery, compliance, things of that nature. And the things that we solve for our customers are really tough problems that are only really accelerating today with the dynamic environment that we see in IT, as well as the acceleration of new technology adoption through SaaS services and cloud services. And so, customers are experiencing not only what I would say are kind of more traditional threats to their businesses, right, which are things like hardware failure and accidental deletion and things of that nature. But, there's a whole new series of threats to our customers' businesses, things like ransomware and malicious attacks and even malicious insiders. And what we do is we allow customers to not only protect kind of their crown jewels, which is their data, from these threats. We also accelerate their adoption of new technologies. We enable them to go forward with confidence in adopting new services at the speed of business, right? Without having to be encumbered by, how do they keep their data safe?
And as you said a few moments ago, you've been with Commvault for 24 years, and the world was a very different place then. And to highlight some of that, I mean, we've seen the dot-com bubble, the arrival of the iPhone and iPad, mobile app stores, demise of BlackBerry, Blockbuster Video and all that, and even had a global pandemic. So I'm curious, how have you seen the company change and evolve over this time and adapt to this changing world?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think, there are a number of things. I think the importance of companies' data has really, or of a company's data has really taken on kind of a new importance as businesses have evolved over time, and the pace at which they've had to adapt to situations. And you brought up the pandemic. It's a perfect example of how businesses had to change their models kind of at the flip of a switch, right? No one could have foreseen these things, and the rapid nature of adoption or the required adoption of of various technologies to keep businesses going. I think that pace has only, increased incredibly over that 24 years. And the importance of data to businesses, making sure that all of their corporate information is safe and available, and the degree to which analytics are used and how much the businesses depend on that has only exploded over that time as well. So, in addition, it's been really tough for companies that we see to kind of maintain the expertise in house to adopt all of these new methodologies. That's only been harder and harder over that time. And so, with Commvault, we've evolved too, right? We started as a company that had self-deployed, self-managed software, and we expanded to delivering that with appliances. And then now we launched Metallic, which is our SaaS service, our SaaS portfolio. And the ability for us to offer all of these to our customers is critically important over that time, or has been critically important, I should say, to help them to adapt to all of these challenges and changes that we've seen in the industry and in the business environment in general.
And you mentioned data there, and data has never been more valuable or more vulnerable. And arguably, it's been on a journey going from the biggest asset in an organization to the biggest liability with the threat of GDPR fines, for example. But can you tell me a little bit more about how data security and management of data is a C-level business problem, not just an IT problem? Because that's another big change, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a long time, our customers and businesses in general just kind of looked at their IT systems as kind of a necessary evil. They needed to use those kinds of systems in order to make sure that they could get things done fairly efficiently, right? What's happening is that customers are looking at their data, or these companies are looking at their data and leveraging it new in different ways, and unlocking new insights and learning new things about their customers by tapping into that data. And so business continuity and the availability of that data has really become top of mind, particularly as you mentioned, with the rise in cyber attacks. Particularly over the past couple of years, we've seen cyber attacks, the rate of cyber attacks go up about 400% or more, which is remarkable in that time. And so, these kinds of problems, what happens is that if a customer or a company doesn't have access to their data, or they lose it in some way, the business just stops, right? An entire company can be stopped in its tracks by one of these attacks. And so, it's really reached not just the CIO level, but really the entire C-suite level, and even the board level. We talk to many companies where there are mandates from their boards to have business continuity in place, or plans in place, as well as mitigation strategies for various forms of cyber attack, and being able to comply with all the regulations that have come into play over the past few years.
And we've mentioned the pandemic already, and whether supporting newly remote workforces, hybrid working, overhauling of legacy systems and applications, or combating ransomware and other cyber attacks, IT in organizations are facing new and evolving challenges, both to their business and their data, every second of every day. And also, of course, while the pressure of delivering new projects that deliver value to a business and do it in quick speed, not just a year or 2 years down the line. But I'm curious, from the conversations you're having with your customers, can you expand on some of those challenges that you're seeing businesses grappling with?
Yeah, sure. You're right? That adoption of new technology has really created a new set of problems, or a new set of threats and challenges to address. You mentioned we've talked about ransomware a few times now, and ransomware has been the first subject in almost every conversation I've had. It's something that can affect all of us, not just from a business level, but even a personal level. The breaches that we see every day with data not only being encrypted, but also extracted from customers for all sorts of purposes. So, I think that cyber threat has really evolved, has really become the number one challenge that we see. And along those lines, how customers and companies deal with cyber threats is different depending on the type of platforms they select, whether they have on-premises applications or whether they have a SaaS-based application, or whether they have cloud-based infrastructure deployments. They need to be able to address all of these environments, all the nuances, while they grapple with the lack or the challenges around getting the right expertise in place, with tighter and tighter budgets and fewer resources to work with. So these things it's kind of a vicious cycle, right? In dealing with not only new technology, but ensuring that even legacy applications that they have continue to be supported, and how they manage this breadth of environments with dwindling resources is really a top concern.
Before you came on the podcast today, I was doing a bit of research, and I was reading that Metallic's conversations with customers are continuously expanding from things like IT operations and infrastructure to matters of security, forcing IT and security teams to actually begin converging on their strategies. Is that something you can expand on today?
Yes, that's a great question. I think it started with the realization that a company can have can put up as many walls as it can with antivirus scanning or malware scanning and firewalls and things of that nature. But at some point, there will be some sort of intrusion. I think we've seen that with supply chain attacks or even ever evolving malicious software or security holes that come up. And so the thinking has expanded, right? And that data protection, it started that data protection needed to be part of your end-to-end security posture, right? Not only prevention, but also recovery. But what has happened in that time is that we have as a data protection company with presence in an environment, we have the ability to not only help recover from attack, but also provide early warning and detection of attacks or even malicious behaviors, which would not necessarily be detected by a anti-malware software, right? So this ability and this visibility that we have into environments and data patterns and data access patterns allows us to leverage things like AI and machine learning to understand malicious behavior and provide for early detection, because I think it's unfortunately only a matter of time before someone breaches a company's defenses, in which case then early detection is the most critical thing in order to limit the impact radius of such a breach, and then provide for the capability to recover.
And you also recently announced that it had been the best year in Commvault's history for growth. Can you expand on that announcement? Because it's been an incredibly challenging couple of years. Is it just helping businesses overcome these challenges that we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, demand is certainly a large factor. I mean, customers are moving to new environments. They're looking for different technologies to adapt to those environments and to be able to manage all of them, right, from a single pane of glass. But we certainly have we've benefited from that, but also the portfolio that we have, right, across Metallic, our SaaS offering, and Hyperscale X, our appliance offering, and our Commvault software portfolio. This really resonates with customers and our partners. It lets our customers choose how they want to leverage and deploy our technology. It all works together. And so that's really contributed to our success as well. It has been great to see the results of this past year being the best in our history. I mean, over 24 years, it's really quite gratifying to achieve that. And Metallic has been a significant contributor to our ARR. Right, we crossed a really significant milestone, reaching 50 million in ARR. So that only over really 6 quarters of Metallic being available. So that solution in particular is really resonating well with the market.
And we're recording this in June 2022, and the world is opening back up. There's a lot of positivity now. But what excites you about the future? Because so much has changed, and so much is continuously changing. But what excites you about that?
I am really excited about the pace of change in the IT industry in general, and the willingness and openness to adopt new technologies and new ways of solving problems. I think that's a really significant, long-lasting change that we've seen from what was necessary during the pandemic, which was to adopt new SaaS-based technologies in order to support work from anywhere. And what I think customers have seen in general is that instead of an IT project taking 2 years, you can do it in 3 to 6 months if it really makes sense for you. And so, what we're seeing in the industry today is that acceleration of adoption, where companies are more willing to pivot and to adopt new ways of doing things. They know they can do it because they've done it. And so being able to see this change, being able to push the boundaries of technology and have customers be open and open-minded and look at these things with fast adoption and benefits them. Really, at the end of the day, for me, it's how we can benefit our customers and bring them value. That's really, really exciting.
And what about yourselves? What's next for you? Where do you go from here? What's your big focus?
Yeah, I think what you'll see is a strong focus on security. I mean, we will continue to be where our customers need us to be, right? Data has gravity. So whether data is on premises or it's in the cloud, we're not forcing our customers to move that data or do unnatural things to manage and protect it. But the expansion of our platform support for those environments is really important, as well as a strong focus on security. I think we've had a good track record over the past couple of years in our security products and offerings, and that's only going to accelerate. And we're really excited to really help our customers in that regard.
Fantastic. Well, I've loved chatting with you today, and now we're at the part of the podcast where I try and have a bit of fun with my guests and ask you to leave everyone listening with a personal touch of inspiration by sharing either a book that has inspired you or even a go-to song that is on that helps you get your head in the zone, or just a song that's important to you. What are you going to leave us with today, and is there a story to accompany that choice?
Oh, a book or a song. I have to pick one. I'll pick one. I'll pick a song for now. And so I was a classically trained pianist for many years. And so, it's not quite, Rage Against the Machine or something like that. But the song I particularly enjoyed listening to get myself in a good frame of mind is by Bach, actually. Cello Suite No. 1 in G major. It's probably the most famous cello song that there is. But with the pace of what's going on in the world, as well as, work-life balance and making sure that we take the time to think about what the right moves are, but execute at the right time and at the speed we need to, that song really lets me, I find it kind of center myself again, center my thinking, and make sure that I don't rush ahead too quickly, but it's calming and uplifting for me.
What a great choice. I'll add that to our Spotify playlist. And for anyone listening, just wanting to find out more information about everything that we talked about today, or maybe reach out and contact a member of your team, what's the best starting place for everything?
Oh, yeah, we have any number of channels for people to reach out to us or find out more about us. Of course, Commvault.com, Metallic.io are the two websites to go check out. We have a presence on Twitter, at metallic_IO, at Commvault. And then there's always my Twitter, which is at RUDNGO, and happy to have a conversation with anyone. We appreciate the engagement.
Well, I'll add those links to the show notes so people can find you nice and easily. We've covered so much in a short amount of time today, and a lot of the words that you spoke there will resonate with so many different people and businesses listening around the world. And I think it's the challenges you're talking about is something that a lot of people are having to overcome. So thank you so much for talking about that and the solutions, but also sharing your incredible story in technology as well and the different changes that you've seen along the way. So thank you for sharing that with me today.
Thanks so much for the opportunity, Neil, and thank you everyone for listening.
So whether supporting new remote workforces, overhauling legacy systems and applications, or combating ransomware and so many other different forms of cyber attacks, IT is now facing a whole new and evolving set of challenges, both to their business and their data. And as I said at the very beginning, data has never been more valuable or more vulnerable. And data security management is now a C-level business problem and not just an IT problem. But do those words resonate with you? What kind of challenges have you seen in your workplace and in your industry? As always, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn at Neil C. Hughes, and we'll keep this conversation going. So today we've covered so much, such as how IT and security teams are converging on their strategies. What we're going to talk about tomorrow. Yes, we've reached that part of the show already. I'm spinning the wheel of fortune. Where it stops, nobody knows. But when it does stop, it will reveal tomorrow's topic. But I'm going to be very unsporting and not tell you what we're going to talk about until tomorrow morning. Hopefully, you've enjoyed yourself and you will join us again tomorrow. So thanks so much for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.